My name is Mitch Benner, and we started this podcast to remove the stigma around sobriety from addiction.
My name is Aaron Nelson. Through our stories and the stories of our guests, we hope to help you find a new path. All right, welcome back. We are here, episode 9. My main man, Mitch Benner, here as always.
Whoop, whoop.
But we have a very, very special guest today, and Dustin Peterich. He has been a good friend of mine for a very, very long time. Owner of Black Belt Roofing, a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and I'll give you a second to clarify, because I know your roofing skills and your ability is definitely 4th, 5th degree black belt at least.
I like it.
Yeah,
I'll go with that. Yeah.
But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. You have a really awesome story to share, and we're really excited you're here, man. So the floor is yours, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. Dustin with Black Belt Roofing. The reason why I chose Black Belt Roofing is I've been in the industry over, 15 years, and to get your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt is 8 to 10 years. That being said, I am only a 2-stripe brown belt because I'm gonna throw out a bunch of excuses real quick. I got a bunch of injuries and then had kids and COVID, but have no fear, I'm back in it. That way I don't look like a poser, but I am a black belt in roofing. So I'm like, the goal was I already have the black belt, but anyways.
Hey, we'll get there, right?
Anyways.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I love it. So yeah, man, start from your story wherever you feel like is fit.
Yeah, man, I'll just start out at the beginning, kind of, what we had talked about a little bit is just growing up in a small country town, 6,200 people. Alcohol is like Americana, back then. Like I watched my, dad drink. I watched, my mom was never a drinker, but like I watched everybody else's parents drink, and it was just part of life, like you saw the high school kids drink and like, you're like, okay, I want to be cool. And everybody else seems to do, so I want to do it.
Let me ask you this. Was there limitations from your parents on that stuff? Like, did they care that you guys were drinking,
The thing about like that small town is like they know because like everybody grew up there and they did the same thing that we're doing.
Right.
We're going out to rice fields. We're going out to people's houses who parents are away, or, maybe we found like an abandoned building, like, it's just country and farmland. Right. Yeah. And so you go out, you drink, you do your things, and it was just part of life, man. It's just what people did, My dad knew about it, and like, it's like, hey, don't drive drunk, don't drive with people, or don't ride with people that are drinking, My mom didn't like it because my mom was never a drinker, and like I started hitting that rebellious stage, like 15, 16 and sneaking out and drinking and doing all that stuff, and it's just like, it was just part of life. And I just was like, everybody else is doing it, but they're still like, you do a lot of stupid stuff when you're drinking, but it's like, it's hard to talk about, like, as a kid, you just got that mentality, man, you're doing it right.
Well, and you're invincible at that age, you're untouchable.
Well, and the other thing with that too, man, is just like, to bring up the whole childhood thing. Like, I'm going to go forward and then go back, and then we'll keep going from there, if that's okay. But like, I didn't realize that I had a serious like drinking problem. Like, I knew that like drinking wasn't helping me in my mid 30s, but I didn't realize I had a drinking problem until I tried to do the 75 hard. And the first time I did 75 hard, I failed at day 20 because of alcohol. Everything else, no problem, man. I can work out. I can kill my body. I can eat right. I can read. I can drink water, but the alcohol. And I'm like, oh man. So then I tried again. I get to day 40. Then I tried again. I get to day 20. I'm like, oh, dude, I got a problem, man. I'm like,
what was the drinking like when you failed?
The drinking was just like, I just want to have a glass of whiskey, man. It wasn't like, I want to go get hammered. I want to get blacked out. It was just, I want a glass of whiskey.
Would you say that you were kind of dealing with your emotional stress 100%. And things like that by drinking?
100%, man. Low self-worth, like, hey man, like, let me have the alcohol. But it's like, when I did 75 hard, that's when I traced back all my steps. And I was like, when did I start drinking? I started drinking when I was 15. And I'm not saying I drink every day at 15, but I drank at least once every 2 weeks or once a month. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's like, when I started doing the math, like, have I ever gone past 30 days? When's the last time? And at 35 years old, I had to trace back all the way to 15 years. And when I had that epiphany, I was like, holy cow, man. Like,
Was that the same for you?
Kind of, dude. I would say, I mean, I wasn't 15, but I was probably 19, and 19 till 38, 37, 37, 38. Dude, I couldn't remember a time that I went more than a week.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's kind of freaking me out. I'm trying to think if I even went longer than a week.
Yeah.
Like,
and you know
ever.
what? And the thing, dude, this is why I love you so much, because you at least have enough presence of mind and grit to be like, oh shit, that's a problem.
yeah.
You know, and then do something about it. Cause I was like, oh yeah, there's probably not. But I'm like, fuck it, let's go get drunk.
yeah.
Well, you're giving me a lot more credit than is due right now, because like, oh, I realized I had a problem, but did I stop right away? Absolutely not. I'm like,
we all did.
I got this, man. I'll control this. I'll take care of this myself. Right. And I'm like, so I get the app and I download the app. I can't remember. It's like a sober app. I am sober, something like that. And if you look through that thing, there's probably 40 entries of like, made it 5 days stop, made it 2 weeks stop. So I was like, no, I still have it in me. I can fix this, because everything else in my life I was able to fix. Like, you know, work harder, get the job,
right?
You know, want to talk to the girl, talk to the girl, go do this, go do that. But this is the one thing that like I literally couldn't jump over, man. But like I still wasn't ready. I still hadn't found that bottom yet, man. And you know, I kind of want to start like forward a little bit more, just because it kind of helps the story a little bit, because my ex-wife's her mom is the first one that I knew that was sober and went to AA. And she had been sober 3 years. And she if I asked her, she would talk to me about stuff. But I remember opening the AA book and just seeing all the God stuff. And I'm like, dude, I can't do it, man. And I'm not talking to anybody who's religious. I'm talking to myself when I was in that position.
Yeah.
If someone was like me, who had more of an agnostic view on life, you might look at a big book and see God and say, oh my God, man, they're just preaching. It's like, no, absolutely not. It's the opposite. You can choose your higher powers. Yeah. But I was so stubborn. I'm like, no, that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about God. They're trying to get me to church. I know this is exactly what they're doing.
Dude, I did the exact same thing. I did the 100%.
I was going to say, no wonder you guys are such good friends.
Yeah. But I didn't have the patience or the want to understand it deeper. I was like, nah, I got this. And yeah, I was talking about this earlier today, though, on my men's group. And I was like, man, I wish I would have had more of an open mind, because it would have made it easier. Yeah. Or had I had the same spirituality I have now, I would have just zipped right through.
Thank you. Right. You found it. You're like, I found my spirituality, you know, like whatever it is for you, you know, like whether it is, hey, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus, I believe in, you know, universe, I believe in higher powers. Like you can think outside of yourself, but like when you're in that stubborn, just alcoholic mindset, you're like, no, they're trying to trick me. I know who I am. I'm not doing that. Right. Because you haven't given up. You haven't given up yet. You haven't said, I give up.
See, and that's the thing that I think is so big in that. It's surrender, right? And it doesn't have to be to God, but it's to something bigger than yourself. You know, whatever a higher purpose, you know, whatever that is. Yeah, I had a chick in our rehab that her higher power was Neil Diamond, you know, and she was obsessed with Neil Diamond. And it was like, she was like, if I ever meet Neil Diamond, I need to tell him I'm sober. And I was like, all right, dude, that's the weirdest shit I've ever heard in my life. But like, if it keeps you sober, who cares?
Yeah.
So was your higher power the ex-mother-in-law?
No, my higher power is universe and nature, man. Like anytime I would go hiking in nature, like no matter where I was at in my life, dude, like it always brought me back to like what I'm grateful for, and like kind of put in perspective, like, you know, my time on earth. It's like, dude, it's not infinite. I'm going to pass, and I need to live my life the way I want, you know, like in a just way. Right. And like, so nature and the universe, like going out, not even having weed or, you know, mushrooms, and just going out, like hiking or backpacking and just looking up at the stars and just be like, holy cow, and just making yourself feel like a little tiny speck of sand and being like, all my problems, dude, like this is a joke. Like this is laughable. Right. But like, it's hard to do that when you're in the mindset of like pure alcoholism. And like a lot of people think that alcoholism, you know, is you're dropping down drunk, you're throwing up, you're drinking in the morning, you're drinking in the afternoon. It's like, no, man, like that can happen, but it's not for everybody. Like some people, it might just be drinking at the end of the night. But like what I've heard from a lot of people that I've talked to in the AA rooms and hear from the stories is it solved a lot of problems and it was fun until it wasn't.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden that switch gets flipped and now you're angry and you're resentful and you don't like that person that's in the mirror. And I'm speaking to myself, and you can't stand like who you are, but you won't change. And so it's just like Groundhog Day every day. And it's just the definition of insanity.
Totally. And I want to say this too. I have been hammering down on this super hard because our biggest thing with this podcast is to destigmatize sobriety. You said that you won't change. I think it's more that I think some people can't. Like physically they can't do it, because they're so addicted to this thing. And I want people to realize this is something I didn't realize. Number one, alcohol can kill you when you try to get off of it. Didn't know that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Number two, it's actually a medically classified disease. It's a disease, and so if we know that, it's like, why don't we treat it like that? You know what I mean? But instead we have this stigma around it where it's like, no, oh, you're an alcoholic. Like you just get pushed down here. But I really, truly, honestly feel like there's people out there that just can't figure it out. They're trying, they're hammering down on whatever they got to do, but it's not working, And so that's where it's like, that's where I'm a huge proponent for rehab, at least for people that were as far gone as I was, and things like that. So I just want to say that because I love the personal accountability piece that you guys both take. But dude, it's like, if it's a disease, there is some lack of control, right? Over now, again, I don't want to go too far into that because personal responsibility, taking ownership for the decisions that you've made, like that is still a huge part of it. But I think there's also a grace piece here too, where it's like, give yourself a little bit of credit. You know what I mean? Because again, you are suffering from a disease. So don't keep making the same choices, but maybe have a little bit of grace on yourself, and I see so many people just beat themselves up, man.
Dude, on that note, sorry, Dustin, we'll get back to your story in a second. I like it. Part of this, what I'm trying to figure out is how do we speed up that moment that you're ready to give up?
I don't know if you can, dude.
No, I know you can't, but I want to find that through this somehow, some way, because yes, personal accountability. And I wasn't really ready until I was ready to just be honest, but it's so stupid because there was months and months and months leading up to it where I just was so hurting. All I wanted to do was tell her, Naya, and I wanted her, but I was afraid she was going to walk away.
Think about this. If we can destigmatize it, right? If we can change the world's perspective on alcoholism, then we can do that.
And then people are going to be more willing to come out.
Because it's more open, right? People are afraid to admit the bullshit because they're afraid of what the world is going to do to them.
Well, because when someone says alcoholic, what do you mention?
Exactly.
What do you immediately think of?
I think of a bum on the side of the street.
Thank you. You think of the worst possible thing. You think of this bum on the side of the street, can't get his life together, life's falling down. Like, no, man, that's the unfortunate part. A lot of these guys are successful.
That's a very extreme case. And then you're even worse. Yeah, that's a very extreme case, which, like you said, those things can happen.
Yeah, but you're in an extreme spot, though, when you're that fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that's where I think, because, dude, the other piece, like, that's why I'm pushing this podcast so hard, right? Because we have an opportunity to actually change our culture. And I don't think that starts to happen, Aaron, until we start to change the mindset around it. And that's a cultural shift.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm after, though.
Me too.
Because I was hurting for too many years.
Right. And let me ask you this. If somebody would have, if there would have been resources available or things that you could, like a pamphlet that you could have grabbed from anywhere or whatever, or you would have felt like, hey, this isn't such a stigmatized process. Like, I know what it's going to look like. I got to do that. Mm. Like, if it was more welcoming and open, do you feel like you would have gone so long?
I'm going to go against what I just said. I got fired from Baker Street. The second time this manager fired me at 2 different restaurants. And we sat down, and Barry, God bless him, dude. He's the greatest human being in the world. Barry Millender is his name. Unfortunately, he passed away, and I never really had a chance to talk to him about this specifically. But he asked me, he's like, hey, man, I'm firing you today because you're drinking too much. Do you need help? Let's get you help, man. And I believed him when he said that. But my ego was like, nah, man, I'm good. Like, I don't want to.
But at the same time, you're still dealing with that mental stigma, right? In the back of your mind of like, do you need help? Like, dude, admitting that I was an alcoholic was probably the hardest part of all of it.
You're right. And that's what we need to do is we need to, had I taken that olive branch of peace, Because another time I got fired and the lady was like, "You have a problem. Get the fuck out of my restaurant."
Right. Oh God.
That makes you feel this big.
Yeah. You know, and that's just, I don't know. That's, who knows? I think that's the number one thing that needs to happen, you know, because it's like, let's like think about something else that's slightly taboo, you know, but maybe not as much. Like, I don't know. I can't think of a good example right now, but
yeah, I get it. Sorry, Dustin. I think it's, I don't know, that you might have nailed it.
Maybe.
Well, I think Aaron brought up a good point. He's like, you know, I think that the way sobriety or seeing that there's a path to light is action, seeing another fellow alcoholic that found sobriety and seeing the way his life has changed and seeing how he takes on life. But this is just my personal experience. I'm just going to throw it out there. And like in all the rooms I've been in AA, and, you know, like whatever you do, rehab or whatever, like AA was just like where I went, and what helped me is because I heard all these guys tell my story.
Yeah.
Is you go in AA and they say, I wish you pain and suffering, because until you hit bottom, you're not going to change, because that's how messed up your brain is with the disease. In my opinion, people in AA will disagree with me about, you know, disease, but like I think it's a disease in the mind, right? Because once you stop alcohol, then you got to actually fight all this up here, and you no longer have that lubricant that helps solve and soothe all that.
Totally.
Now you have to fight everything that's in between your eyes. But like, you have to hit bottom. Maybe you don't have to, but all the people I've seen in AA, when you hear their stories, it's brutal, man. Some is nicer than others, but others it's brutal. And it took me seeing my ex-wife's, you know, mom being successful with it for 3 years, seeing how angry and hateful I was, and just feeling like a complete loser and fear of everything. And then my ex now saying, look, if you don't change, dude, I'm taking the kids and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And me finally being like, dude, this is bottom.
See, and that's the thing. Somebody else in I think it was Desiree, you know, said the great thing about this is we all get to choose what that is.
Thank you.
You know, and we all get to choose what that rock bottom is. And yeah, you know, for you, it's the potential, like, and for me too, is the potential of possibly losing my family, you know, and really honestly being suicidal, like to the point where like it was probably going to happen in the next 6 months, you know? So all those kinds of things, but at the same time, it's like, can't we raise that bar? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can't we raise that floor a little bit and be like, okay, like just bringing enough awareness to this to be like, hey man, if you're drinking this amount, like it's something that you should probably check, you know, because as a society right now, we don't put people in AA until they're living on the fucking street. You know what? Or until things do break so bad that it's hard to fix, you know? And so that's where it's like, how can we raise that standard a little bit to be like, look, if you're drinking and you're at this point where you're like missing meetings, or if you had a drink before X, like we got to change that whole stigma as a society.
Yeah. It's funny. Cause like in some of the AA rooms, and like, technically I'm not supposed to talk AA, well, you know, like outside rooms or whatever.
We haven't been slammed for it
yet. But it's just like, you see some of the court appointed people, and you can see in their eyes.
Oh, totally.
They're not done. They're doing it because the court
they have to
appointed, and they're like, yeah, I've got 2 DUIs, but like is what it is, you know, like you guys basically, they're like Dustin was before I finally like hit the bottom. Like, you have a problem, I don't have a problem.
But
I can stop it,
dude. You know? I don't know. That's what I want to do through this. Is that right there?
I would love to be able for you guys to like destigmatize it to where like it can be a cool thing, man. Like
that's what I'm saying,
to not drink, because I think for so long we've had a society that just like constantly says, yeah, drinking alcohol is cool. That's how you're going to be cool. We see the commercials, we see our friends, our peers. And I think the more and more people that we see that are like, dude, my life got immensely better when I stopped drinking. And, you know, even with all those naysayers of like, oh, well, you know, you can't control yourself and you're this, you're that, like whatever you want. Yeah, good. True. But I'm happy. I don't care what you think.
Exactly.
Like, I'm happy, man. I don't care what you think.
I saw this quote the other day, and it said, it's not your job to save everyone. It's your job to live your life as an example, you know, in hopes that people kind of follow you. So, and that's kind of what I've taken of this, you know, because this is such a heavy topic. I mean, it's the only way, one, that you can accept all this failure in your peers, you know, because we do get to the chance to speak into people's lives and we do see a lot of failure. And it's hard, you know? So I don't know. I don't know. It's hard, man. Like, and so that's where I'm just like, all I can do is just live my life as an example, you know? And that's why I think we're this, you know, just having these conversations around it. And dude, we start prohibition again in Loveland.
Dude, that's so funny. It just makes it worse. It's how you tell someone you can't.
Exactly. You
just make an illegal trade.
See, and we've
seen it with the war on drugs.
Yeah, dude. And that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to sit here and tell people that they can't drink or they shouldn't drink. You know, because there's a lot of people out there that can manage it in their life. And you know what? It is fun. I had the fucking time of my life doing all that stuff. But at the end of the day, that'll kill me.
Well, every single person on this podcast, I'm sure including you, would love if we could just have a beer. It'd be sweet if we could have this conversation and have a beer and not be drunk for 4 months straight.
Well, because it's not going to be like, I speak for myself, it won't be just one beer. I'm going to have that beer. And then the next day I'm going to be like, well, dude, I really like whiskey. I haven't had whiskey for a while, so I'm going to have whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm only going to have it this day. And then that's it.
Yep.
And then, oh, shit, I had a hard day. Dude, I've already had one.
And we all do it.
Why
dude?
not? Why not, man? Like, and that's the way that brain starts to work.
Yep.
Well, that's exactly how it would be. Morgan said it. You know, you can have a beer today, and then tomorrow will be more and more and more.
Yep.
It's an avalanche.
Yeah, I had this great analogy that one of my guys had told me, and because I was trying to, you know, like figure out like, man, like the psychology and the drinking and all this. He's like, look, man, I'm gonna give you an analogy, Dustin. You're a firefighter goes to a building that's burning. He's like, does a firefighter say, if only I knew how to put out this fire or how this fire started, I could put it out? He's like, no. He puts water on the fire. He's like, you're on fire. Put your fire out. Like basically saying like, quit thinking about it, dude.
Just do something about
it. Stop thinking and do what is asked of you. I'm sure in rehab, they gave you steps of like, hey, this is what you're doing. They went over psychology and everything else. You know, in AA, they have the 12 steps, which most people have heard 12 steps. You know, you can look into it or go to a meeting. But what I would say to someone like myself who was like, you know, starting to research stuff, especially with algorithms that you just talked about, and YouTube's going to start sending stuff like, dude, you know, maybe I do have a problem, or like hear people talk about it. Go to an AA meeting and just listen and be a fly on the wall and see if any of that just resonates with you. Or if you know of someone that's sober, be like, can I buy you coffee, man? I just want to kind of throw some stuff out there. That conversation alone, if you don't want to go to a big meeting and you feel a little bit scared, go and talk to another sober guy or like someone that's been in rehab and say, man, dude, I can't get out of it, and just ask them. I'm like, the one thing about people who are sober is we can't wait to tell you and share, because it helps us. It's the selfish thing with it is like, the more I talk about it, the more it helps me. The more I'm like, dude, I remember everything I need to do, you know?
Well, and then you have accountability, you know, like, because now then you're accountable to that person, right? At least that's for me. Like, that's why I love this podcast so much, dude. And I'll be honest, like, we're struggling financially right now, and it sucks, dude. Like, I honestly feel like we're going through some of the hardest stuff that we've ever gone through in our life. And that thought creeps in a lot, you know? And the number one thing that I have is this podcast and all of the people that are listening to it, you know? And at the end of the day, it's like, I'm accountable to that, you know, and I want to be accountable to that. So, but I love what you said too, because it's right. And that's what we're here for too. Like, we are not medical professionals. We are just recovering alcoholics, but we've been through it, you know? And so we're just trying to be that landing space, you know, that we can point people in the right direction. And my point is, if you want to reach out to somebody and you don't know who that is, call us, email us. I'd be happy to have coffee with you. I'll even buy you coffee.
Right.
You know, and I don't have any money, so.
Don't let it stop you too if you're not in Northern Colorado.
How about this? Zoom. How about I'll let you come to my house and I'll make you a cup of coffee.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But no, dude, that's what it is. And it's just having those conversations around it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
No, I 100% agree, man.
But let's get back to your story. I feel like
sorry.
No, we went off on that. Was our fault.
Oh, it's good.
But
Those are good tangents.
yeah, I like it.
Well, so watching my ex's mom, go through it, finally like hitting the bottom, man, where like I literally couldn't even look at myself in the mirror, dude. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't being the dad that I wanted to be, because my kids are my why, man. I can't live in the past, because that's depression, and living in the future is anxiety.
Yep.
But like, to this day, like, you're supposed to let stuff go. I still remember reading my kids, book Hammered, and like slurring my speech, because like I would never drink until the nighttime.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was never a day drinker, never lunch, but like I would drink at night, and just not beating myself up anymore. The last person that I forgave, man, like after my sobriety, was myself. I forgave everybody else, and I asked everybody else for forgiveness, but myself, because I remember the stuff that I did with those kids, and the stuff that, like, waking up not feeling great and not taking them for a walk or not doing certain things. And dude, like, they are my why. You will never see me drink, dude. You will never see me. I'll fail at certain things, but you won't see me in the gutter.
Yeah.
Because those kids in my life changed me completely as a man and as a human being. And like, it's the most powerful thing, but it's also the most effed up things. When I looked in the mirror and I said, okay, I would die for my kids, right? But I'm the worst person in their life right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would die for my kids, but I am the worst person in their life right now. And I don't talk about suicide much, but I understand some of the people who battle with that, where they know they need to change, but they can't change. And they know they're the worst person in that life. And it's like, you can change, dude. Like, you literally can.
Yeah.
I wasn't suicidal, but I realized that I was the worst person in my kid's life. And so I said, especially after my ex-wife gave me that talk, I was like, that's it, man, I'm done. I went into that room, and like you said, the worst part about going into like a room of recovery is admitting to being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Dude, your ego just goes,
Totally, man.
everything that you thought of yourself, all the control you thought you had, just goes out the window. And like, but it was freeing, because then I could hear everybody talk and I could listen to their wisdom. And my sponsor, I had one of the best sponsors, man, 30 some odd years sober. I picked the guy that looked like an ex-biker.
Yeah, dude.
And I just wanted the guy that was going to be like, would cuss with me and say, no, you're bullshitting. And I want you to do X, Y, Z. Literally, when I sat down with him, he said, what are you willing to do, Dustin? And I said, whatever you tell me. I was like, you tell me to go to this meeting, I'm be at this meeting. You tell me to do homework at night, I will do the homework. And we did. And he met with me. I think we'd meet twice every week for the first month. And then to this day, man, I'm 2+ years sober. I sent him 5 gratitude items every single day, and he sends me a passage every single morning.
Dude.
The dude's only missed one time. He's in Mexico. That man is still in my life.
That's awesome.
And I owe it to him.
Yeah.
The reason why I want to be here, and I want to tell my story, and I want to be vulnerable, even with the company. It's like, oh, you have a company. It's like, yeah, dude. People with companies have issues too, and it's just like, I owe that man my life and the way that I think about life now. And he does that for many people every week, dude. This guy's got like 8 people that he's sponsoring.
That's awesome.
So,
dude, that's huge. Today, I was talking with a guy that is, I think, 2006, so 18 years sober, something like that. And he still does daily gratitudes every single day. Yeah. And I think that's an important thing, is no matter how far along you are in the journey, man, that's just part of what you do to stay right.
Do you guys practice those gratitudes?
No.
Every morning I text him 5.
So you just text him those? And then, because dude,
like, he'll text me in passage, so I'll have to reply to whatever is passage. Yeah. Sometimes it'll be simple, like, hey man, have a great day today. And then I have to just do my gratitude. Or some days, like, he'll write a passage and I can just write a little passage about what's going on that. And then gratitude. And then the next day he'll respond to it. So it's like,
I was just curious because, dude, I always wrote out like affirmations.
Okay.
Like 25 a day forever, but it takes so much time because I fucking am a slow writer. So I was just curious if, like, mentally, like, you guys just like say them or speak them, or, but we were always encouraged through real estate training to write them.
I just said, don't drop this weight. Don't be a bitch. Lifted it.
I
That's
love
kind of
it,
what I
dude.
say.
I love it.
Yeah.
If I did, I was just trying to think of one thing I do every day.
I'm just trying to get myself in the weight room right now.
You're doing great, man.
No,
Everybody's version of hard is different, dude.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up.
Dude, that's what I would say too, man. Like to leapfrog on top of like the exercise thing, dude, is there's a lot of stuff like in AA that like, you know, I kind of molded like how I wanted my sobriety to look. And exercise, dude, it is huge, man. Like, you know, you got a lot of extra time now, man. Like, you know, you have a lot of extra energy. You're not hungover. You're not, you know, feeling pity party, you know. So now you can go walk in the sunshine. You can lift weights. What I would say is be around a community too, man. Like get in with the communities, people that aren't drinking. If you're new to being sober, dude, stay away from any kind of groups that are drinking because you might not have the power yet. But like, you know, as your sobriety gets stronger and you are stronger, yeah, go do those intramural sports. But I would say like join a group, you know, like whatever it is, the sobriety, even like now with Zoom, dude, you'd be amazed at how many like, you know, AA style stuff. Like it doesn't even have to be AA, but just like sobriety, you know, meetup group. Like, and they just all talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, half of our rehab classes were available on Zoom. You know, which I thought was kind of weird, but yeah. So that's a good point. You know, there's no shortage of resources. You do have to go look for them,
right?
You know, and then the rehab process is kind of a pain in the ass. But so, dude, tell us a little bit about kind of the catalyst, like your ex-wife kind of giving you an ultimatum, and you know, take us through that. And then you met this guy through AA, and I mean, was it? You're able to just turn it off, you know, like after that?
I think the beautiful thing about what I did is I dug a hole so freaking deep that I decided that that's as far as I wanted to dig. I was like, this is my bottom. Because the problem with bottoms is you can keep making a bottom. Your bottom can go farther, man. Like, do you want to stop now or you want to keep going? And like your one runner guy said, Matt 10 years from now, doing the same thing you're doing, what's life look like?
Yeah, dude.
You know, and like that one hurts, but like just to answer your question with, you know, the catalyst was COVID broke me mentally, like with a lot of stuff that happened, man. And I got way more involved in politics than I ever should have. And like, you know, just getting irate at stuff that I had no control over. I could not control it. And I was just, dude, I was negative. I didn't like who I was. I didn't love myself. I didn't respect myself. I had no self-worth. So here's this woman who's like, you know, my ex, who's like supposed to, you know, support me, be there for me, just watching me literally cut myself down daily. And then I can say it right now, man, I was a bully in certain situations. Yeah. And then to fast forward, it's like when I got sober, I was like, I'll fix this by working really, really hard and working all these hours to make up for everything that I've done wrong. When all she wanted was my time and me. And I just went right I wasn't there because I was like, no, my alcoholic mind was still like, I'll fix this. I'll fix this by working harder. I know how to do this. Instead of listening to the other person saying, I just want you to be here. I want you to help me with the kids. I want you to do X, Y, Z. I said, no, I got it. Yeah. Make more money, grow the business. We'll be fine. Not listening. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And then, you know, I guess that obviously turned out with you guys splitting up.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, we ended up splitting up and I was, you know, I think a year and a half plus, you know, sober. We split up in August of 2024. Just because I threw everything in the basket with roofing and working crazy hours, leaving the house at 5:30, 6 a.m., not coming home till 7:30, 8 o'clock, but then still being there for the kids on the weekend, but not being there for my ex-wife now. Yeah. So I was there for certain people, but I wasn't there for her because I just also the problem with that, like that I've talked to other people with alcohol, you know, alcoholic type brain is I was like, I got to do everything myself. I have to do this. Yeah. Nobody else can help me with this. Nobody else can help me with my marketing. Right. I have to do it or it won't get done right because it's a bad way of we have in our thinking. And I'm still working through that. And I'm seeing the light with like, I took on way too much. I did not give the people that needed my love and attention enough, and I wasn't present for them. I don't hold grudge to my ex for leaving. I'm like, I get it. Like, I'm a hard person to be around.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing now is becoming the person that I know I want to be and I'll be proud of. And my kids are the one that allow me to become that person. So then when I am ready for another relationship or whatever, I'll be that person. But it's like, I just made too many cuts, man. Too many cuts that you just can't come back from. But I accepted that. I can say that all now good right now. But like what I will tell the people who are listening to this is, dude, it hurt.
Oh yeah.
It hurt. It was the worst pain I've ever had in my life.
Well, and dude, I mean, you're a year and a half sober. How did you deal with that emotional trauma? You know, like, you know, and go into it as far as light as you want to. You know, I know that's a very personal question, but I think it's important too because you stayed sober through that. You know, and that's huge. You didn't go back to your coping mechanism.
That's a very good point, man. You know, what was the question? Just one more time, reframe it.
Just kind of take us through that. Like, how did you navigate that emotionally? You know, like, cause that's devastating.
How are you?
Oh man,
still kind of going on, right?
I had to swallow everything when it was going down because I was still I was working like crazy, man. I couldn't just pull away. I put all the hats on. And so I had to do everything because that's the way I designed it. Right. And so I would go away at night or go away during the day and I'd be completely involved in roofing. And I'd only have a fraction of a second to think about it. And then I would come home and take care of my kids. You know, she would do her thing. And then I would repeat that. Right. But like, you know, then all of a sudden, like that heartbreak, man, like where you literally can't breathe. For anybody who's never really experienced heartbreak, like I truly feel it now because I was sober. I had to feel everything, dude. It sucked so bad. But the reason why I did not turn to the bottle or alcohol is I knew what would make it worse. Yeah. And I also knew that now my kids need me more than anything. And I was like, I will die, dude, before I give up on that, man. Like, life can keep beating me down. I'll get up, dude. I will just keep getting up. Like, you're not going to keep me down. And so I had that mentality, but I'm still not going to say like, dude, it was terrible. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. And I don't have a ton of friends, but the people I truly call friends who know me, I called them, dude. And I leaned on them for the first time. Like I usually would just not want to throw myself on other people, but I lean on a good buddy of mine too. His name's Simone. And, dude, that guy helped me so much. Just listening to me, giving me feedback, telling me, dude, keep your head up, keep doing this, keep doing that. And that's what helped me. And it's like, that's what I would tell the people that, you know, look at sobriety. It's like, dude, life's not going to stop throwing punches at you, man. For sure. It's not. You're going to have to still get up. But I can tell you, getting up without alcohol, 9-day difference, dude.
And that's a really good point because even in like just waking up sober, I feel confident. Like that boosts my confidence. Just that
huge win,
you know? And so it's like knowing that and winning that battle every day changes your perspective, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think it instills a little bit more grit in you where you can deal with those highly emotional situations without alcohol. And yeah, cause I mean, yeah, dude, I mean, like we're going through the same thing, you know, finances, they're the worst that they've ever been.
Right.
You know, and this year has been brutal. I broke my foot, had cataract surgery, you know, switch companies. Like it's just all kinds of stuff, you know, but the one thing I'm grateful for out of all of it is that I was clear and present.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, man. It's just like life doesn't stop, man. It just keeps on coming. It's like, you know, now looking back, it's like, okay, that happened in August. You know, we're sitting at January 27th, 2025. You know, my divorce was finalized January 6th. That's kind of a crazy date now, you know, like in history. But yeah, it was, you know, January 6th. And like, it was a feeling of like, okay, man, like that old Dustin died.
Gone, yeah.
Like I killed that guy, man. Like I don't want to recognize that guy. I had to kill him and say, okay, I'm moving on in life, dude. And I'm going, you know, onward and upward. And I'm not saying that I have no fear. I still have fear, but I'm like, I'm just going 100% everything that I want in life, dude. And I don't give a shit anymore. I don't care anymore. It's like, I'm going to show my kids that, like, dude, this is what happens when you put 100 into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to still fucking hit the wall every now and again, dude. Like, I will, but it's going to be on a good path because I want to make the money to do kind of something like you guys do, not a podcast, but I want to help people financially. Like, if it means saving a family, it means saving someone from committing suicide or whatever, dude. Like, that's what I owe. I owe that. Like, I have a gratitude for that.
Really quick, man. I want to go back on something that you touched. This is kind of outside of drinking, but we talked about suicide, right?
Right.
And so I work with a nonprofit veterans organization called Stillwater Ranch, and I think when it comes to that, dude, the listening piece is so important because we had alcohol, or we have alcohol as something, okay, that's what made us feel like shit. When you talk about veterans, man, you can't take away the Operation Iraqi Freedom. You can't take away the shit they saw and everything that they went through, right? And this is just kind of a side piece. If you're shouldn't have said it that way. When you're interacting and having coffee with people that went through that, don't forget to listen. Just shut up and listen, man, because there's nothing that you can say that will take away what they went through. You just need to understand it, to try to understand what they need and kind of help them through that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you guys were a little bit dealt personally with the suicide more than I have, but if there's someone's there to listen, that kind of makes you feel better, right? So at least you can just get it off your chest or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think for me too, like, externally processing things is helpful, so like just having a venting post, and that's what sometimes I'll tell my wife, be like, look, I'm not saying this to stress you out, or I don't really need your input or feedback. I'm simply just trying to work through it. So can I just kind of talk to you about what's going on in my life, or you or a friend, or, and that's something that helps me personally. If it's journaling, if it's writing, whatever. I actually am started working on a sober journal. I want to put out a 365-day sober journal that has, little tips and tricks that you can do to just kind of get your brain out of that thinking, focusing on the 6 most common fears that you experience through getting sober, and, just little reminders and areas for people to write down their thoughts. And, I just think all of it has to stay right here, right in the forefront of your mind. Constantly, and it's when you say that on the surface level, you're like, Jesus, man, like, how the hell am I ever going to get to that point? But you just do it day in and day out. And before you know it, dude, it's like, it's almost ingrained in you. Like, it's one of the first things I think about every day. Like, I wake up, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sober. Like, it hits me almost immediately. So it's constantly, but I had to train my brain to keep it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I like it, man. I like what you said, and I like what Aaron said, about just listening to, those type of people. And it's like, I was not suicidal, but what I had sympathy for is, like, I could understand, like, if that Dustin kept on going about life, and, like, let's just say that Dustin ruined his relationship with his kids and didn't get to see his kids. Yeah, dude. Like, then 100%. If I would have took the best thing that happened in my life away, 100%, I could see it.
See, I think that's what I was thinking when I said that.
Yeah, okay.
Is, I'm trying to articulate it well. That's where the 22 a day thing comes from. Our vets sometimes are struggling so bad that they feel like they cannot be fixed. Therefore, they might see their children thinking that they're just a constant failure, right? Or if we're drinking all the time, we can't get better. We don't want them to see us as failures. So we think, and we somehow justify life would be better without us. There's a kid that your kids go to Windsor Charter?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
No.
Well, there's a father that died by suicide in Windsor Charter last year. That,
Dang.
And it's like, your life is better there. Everybody's life is better with you in it.
Yeah.
But you just get to that point where that's where we need people to come in and listen.
Point,
there's organizations, Stillwater, everything. There's a million places to do that. But if you're the person listening that knows someone that's hurting, just be there to listen.
Yeah.
God bless Linnea. She was there to listen.
Yeah.
And I need to reciprocate better because she'll have the same thing where she just says, I don't want you to go out and fix this. I just want you to listen to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And selfishly, I'm like, oh, I got this or that or the other. When I just need to stop and slow down and just listen.
And we're also men.
I think that's a man and a woman.
Yeah, I was going to
No,
say.
it is.
Yeah.
I don't want you to fix the problem. I want you to listen. You're like, but then why are you telling me? Because we're not solving anything.
Yeah,
You're just telling me.
Dude, literally, I
What the
just
hell?
had this conversation
Yes.
with my wife the other night. I'm like, she's like, let's talk about solutions. And then immediately goes into all of the problems. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, do you realize that you just listed all of the I already know all that. So what are the solutions that you were referring to, you know? And
She's got to be heard first.
yeah, and that's the thing I'm learning. Like, I just need to shut the hell up and let her have her peace. And yeah.
Dude, we should all just go to Universal, get the Harry Potter wand, and be like, fixed. Boom.
Yeah, man. It's just there's difference in the sexes, right? And it's like you realize that later on. It's like you start talking to other guys, you're like, you have the same problem?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think that's what social media and like some of the internet did to me. I'm like, wait a second, man. We're all having the same
Yeah,
issue.
we can all
Yeah.
commiserate together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, see the power of community like you were just talking about.
Right?
We're all here. We can all figure out how to get through this together.
Right.
Yeah,
So find that person to help each other and get through it, right?
exactly, man.
Whether you're vet or drinking, find people.
You know, and that's the thing too, is like not just somebody, but people that have gone through and navigated those experiences successfully. You know, those are the people that you need to latch on to. You know, if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, I mean, find somebody that went through it, that was successful, you know, and just do everything that they tell you to do.
Yeah, and like everything you just said too, because it's like when you're in the depths of like, you know, the alcoholism or, you know, your mental breakdown, like you're not going to ask for help.
No.
Like you don't want to go ask for help. And so like, you know, people come to you and like, hey, you're going to rehab. And you're like, okay, you know, you said your brother,
Yeah.
here, you take care of all the decisions, put me in here, man, like, because I'm not going to do this, right? Like,
Yep.
It literally took me an ultimatum. Like, I wasn't going to go ask for help. It took me someone saying ultimatum. And I think that, like, to Aaron's points, like, if you don't have someone like that in your life, dude, it's okay, man. Like, you go into these rehabs, or you go into these AA rooms, or you go into Stillwater Ranch where they have, you know, nature, and you're out with a fire pit with other vets. They're gonna welcome you with open arms,
Totally.
dude.
Yep.
You are worth it.
Yeah.
You don't think you're worth it right now. I guarantee you're worth it, man.
Yeah.
I guarantee there's something you can do in your life that's going to make it worth it. It will. There's something.
I completely agree with you. You know, and I was talking to this gal, she's 20, at the coffee shop the other day, and just kind of asking like, hey, what kind of struggles do you guys see in your age group? And same thing, dude. And I think it's the finding a purpose for that is even harder. You know, I mean, there's just so much confusion in the world about who we actually are, you know, as individuals. And I mean, you got kids that are identifying as animals, you know, and
I thought that was a joke, but it's apparently legit.
There is a company in Colorado that makes commercial sized litter boxes for schools.
Yeah, bro. In the bathrooms.
I'm not kidding, dude.
Oh, guys, please don't cancel me.
I don't give a shit.
But no, just kidding.
No, man, it's just wild, dude.
And
the
that's the
principals
thing.
are too scared to say something because of what the newspapers will say.
And this is like, that's a problem. That's a serious problem. You know, that's an identity issue. And dude, what do you think that's going to lead to? You know, and that's the kind of stuff. It's like, but let's not have the conversation around that because we're going to offend somebody. Be like, I am sorry. That's just crazy to me. Dude, my wife filled out an application at CSU. There was like 9 or 10 different options for her gender.
See, I think that's just it goes back to the same thing we're talking about, is dealing with your emotions in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Not making up some shit or not talking to someone or whatever.
Well, I'm going to probably
relying on
piss
your
a lot of people off by saying what I just said.
Well, they have to deal with that. Their problems.
That's
Their
called
reaction,
free speech.
someone's reaction to what you say is not your problem. It's their problem.
Well, and I just want to say, like, I don't care one way or the other. Like, if you want to identify as a shoelace, I don't give a shit. It's not going to have an impact on my life, but you start to permeate this thing into a society, it's going to have an impact on humanity.
Right.
You know, and it already is. It's going to have an impact on the next generation, on our kids' generations, you know, and it's all I'm saying is that I think that people are confused. They don't know who they are. I didn't know who I was till 18 months ago, you know, when I actually decided to lay down the shit that I had in my life and look at it and deal with those things sober, and clear minded. So I don't know. Like I said, I probably piss a lot of people off by saying that, but I love everybody and I accept everybody. Yeah. I just think that.
Well, I think if everybody accepted everybody, we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if someone in that, if someone's a furry and that's what they're called. Dude, that's PC, bro. I'm telling you.
You might have to edit this shit out, dude. I just can't. That's crazy.
No, like if someone was that and like they accepted me for not acknowledging that you truly are a cat. Okay.
Yeah.
If they truly accepted me for not that, then we'd have zero problems.
Yeah.
But the problem is that person does not. I need to acknowledge this, and I need to.
And there's like anger inside of it.
Same thing. If me talking about my alcoholism freaks someone out, they just tell me that. Cool, I won't bring it up. That makes you uncomfortable. No problem.
I should be like, there's a fucking door. You don't like it, you can leave.
No, I mean, I'm not going to go on my problems. You're right, but like, hey, I might ask, like, are you okay with your alcohol? Do you need some help? Because I got some resources.
I think the point is like, if we as an alcoholic said, okay, since we're alcoholic, you guys all have to conform to our alcoholic ways. So
cancel liquor.
You guys can't drink around us.
Yeah.
You guys can't say these certain things, and you guys have to just treat us as normal people. And it's like, so you want us to change freedom because you have an issue. It's like, no, man, like that's not life.
Yeah.
And like,
that's a good way to put it.
You thinking that that's how life is, like you're going to be rudely awakened when you go out into the real world, and it's unfortunate for those kids like that, man. But,
just have to accept your problems. Maybe not your problems. Okay. I don't want to like, again, offend anybody, but at the same time, like accept what you're going through and deal with those issues head on, either yourself or with a therapist or with someone, so you can figure out how to be comfortable with you and then comfortable with the other people that aren't like you or can't accept it. Like you should be able to be comfortable to walk into a bar and sit up at the bar and order a nice tea. Ideally, that's you should be able to do that every single time.
Right. Yeah. To this day, like if I have to go to the bar and, which I can go to the bar and like eat at like a table. I always feel like, God, I'm like, dude, how about this? You just keep giving me sparkly waters, with the lemon in it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pay you like I'm drinking, right? Like I'll still give you a good tip, like on the food. Cause I always feel like, when you sit at the bar, like you're supposed to drink, but like I've had this happen a couple times, like on work trips and stuff where that was the only seating. I'm like, well, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I'll sit at the bar. I'm at the point in my sobriety. I can be around people with alcohol, but like other people don't risk it. Like if the smell of it's going to jack you up, stay away, you know, but.
Yep. Well, that's a good point too. If you're freshly sober and you're going to networking events or things like that, just order a Coke in a rocks glass. Tell the bartender, just do it that you don't drink, just do it this way and they'll do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I like Desiree's approach to it. Be like, oh, you want to drink? Yeah. You have money for bail.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Dude, don't do what I did. I remember like the first like mixer I went to, I'm like, I'll be cool. I had a sparkling water. I'm like, I'll drink some coffee. I was like, oh, this feels good. So I drink more coffee. I had this full blown like anxiety attack. Dude. I was like shaking. I was like, man, I think I'm talking too much. Or am I talking too much? I'm like, so I was like, all right, that didn't work out too well. We'll stick to the sparkling.
So you're like Dustin. He did quit drinking, but he started doing Coke.
Yeah.
Just started with coffee.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Nice.
So,
how's things going today, man? Where are you at?
Man, things are going a lot better. I moved past that giant hurdle in my life, and in the whole divorce and everything else. And now I'm at the point where I'm just rebuilding with the company it's an everyday process. And I don't know if Aaron can comment on this too, but I'm learning the ways about myself that I want to change. Like I found out that I'm a people pleaser. And I just want to fit in, right? Totally. So I'll chameleon myself around people, even though it's not like who I am. So I'm working on that. I'm working on my self-worth. I'm working on my confidence. Like sometimes people, when I'm doing roofing, they're like, yeah, you're confident. It's like, I'm confident in this.
Yeah.
But then when I look at myself as a business owner, I start to, point the fingers
and berate
So like what I'm saying is like, so stop and drink was one thing. And now I get to deal with everything else. And I'm like, okay, I see these certain bad things about me, but the caveat is, what are the things that I excel in? What are the things that make me Dustin? What are the things that I really love about myself? So don't beat yourself up, but like once you get to a certain point, then you're just working on like the psychology of like, all right, man, this is where I want to go. This is what I'd like to change. And it's such a cool freaking feeling because it's almost like you just wiped away your hard drive and you're just putting stuff back how you want it. You're like, I want that. I want this. Nah, I don't need that anymore. I want this, so.
Dude, it's so funny that you say that because I use that analogy in rehab. I was like, man, my life was just like this pane of glass, and rehab is this hammer that just shatters it.
Yeah.
And then you get to sit there for 3 months and start to pick all the pieces that you don't like and you do like, and you're like, okay, I'm going to keep this part of Mitch. I'm going to try to work on that part. And that's really cool, man. You're the only other person that's explained it that way.
Well, what I've noticed with a lot of people that have had drinking problems is we're pretty deep thinkers inside. Totally. I'm not saying we're geniuses, right? I'm just saying we're deep thinkers. Like, we think about things a lot
and very emotionally aware.
Thank you. Like I always had like, these giant emotions. Like, I would get so jealous and envious of some people who had like no reason to be super confident or take their shirt off at a pool, like they're big fat,
big fat belly.
Maybe I shouldn't say fat, whatever. But like, not looking great, but in their mind, dude, they were like, no, I look great and I don't give a shit. And I'm like, I was never that person, man. I was always constantly in my head.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's part of the reason why we're alcoholics, is because of that mental process, how we process things mentally, and then I don't know, dude, I've always said this. I'm way too emotional for a guy, I'm like, my wife's like the normal, like even keel, like she just bottles her emotions till she snaps. And, I'm the one that's a fucking constant shit show of emotions. But yeah, I think too, that's, I like that part about myself though.
Yeah.
I do.
I used to make fun of myself for it, but like, now I'm like, dude, I like it.
Yeah, I like that part about myself because it's easy for me to be like, okay, I can identify this thing in myself that I don't like and I can change it. And it's not hard, So I guess too, at times it can be a downside because I'll look at people and be like, dude, just don't do that. And then they're like, what?
Well, it's like, also, you're so hard on yourself
totally
that you think that, oh, I'll do hard on you. It's like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
You're number one, you're probably way too hard on yourself. And the other person probably isn't like able to take what you give to yourself.
Well,
I think Aaron might be able to like comment on this. Cause like you and I had that like emotion side. Like, I feel like Aaron can be just like, look, dude, just do it. Right.
Yeah, totally.
Pick up the weight.
Sometimes I
carry
actually
the boat, run up the hill. Like
sometimes I actually think you're,
but Aaron, my foot hurts. I don't care, Dustin. Just go.
That's why I kind of failed at my last leadership job at Tradesman.
Because you had no compassion.
Yeah.
I can see that. Dude, there's times that I'm like, fuck, man, I think Aaron might be pissed at me. And I'm like, why would he be mad at me? Like, and I like have to go back to our interactions and like, I'm like, no, it's just Aaron.
Yeah, no, it's hard, dude. Like the other day when you called, like I had to call you back and be like, I want you to know I didn't not say anything because I don't care. It's just I had to figure it out. I had to process it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, well, my last sales job though, I'm managing salespeople and they wouldn't go out and do sales activities. So go fuck yourself.
You're all fired.
And Aaron cleans house.
No, but I held on to him because I'm very patient.
Yeah.
I wanted them to do good. So I get them all these things, but I just couldn't understand why they wouldn't go out and sell.
It's hard for you to motivate them.
Yeah, because I don't need motivation to do the right thing.
You don't. Yeah.
And that's the hard thing is that I don't have that ability to find. I'm working on getting that ability to find what you need and then give you that. I have everybody done the disc profile. I'm a D1.
I can see that.
And so it's like, I just do the work. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Do you not like money? This is sales. The more you work, the more
dude,
you
and
get paid.
That's so funny because I'm one not motivated by money. Not at all. And I think that scares the shit out of my wife.
I'm not saying I'm motivated by money either, but like you're given a job. You're in a sales job.
Yeah.
Your job is to go earn sales and therefore commission. Like why do you not want to go out and walk the job sites?
And see, dude, in that, there's so much fear in that, And that's the thing that I think the number one issue in the human condition is fear.
Yeah. What I should have done is I should have taught them how to diagnose conversations to let the prospects guard down And therefore you come in and provide that value in a way that you didn't think of, not like, hey, dude, you want to buy something? You know, like I'm learning. I'm going to be better at this.
Yeah, dude, I love you, man. I do. And I was telling Dustin before you showed up, I'm like, the partnership that you and I have created is perfect.
Right.
Because you are that analytical person. You're like, no, dude, stop being a bitch. Like, let's just do this. You know, and
I don't say it like that. But.
Well, pretty much. But I mean, and there were times where I was like, bro, you have to produce this because I'll tear it apart.
Mm.
And you're like, all right, fine. You know, and that's just, so I'm grateful for that, but it's definitely learning how to navigate that, you know?
Well, I've heard you guys talking about that, the owner of the jiu-jitsu gym that you're talking about, like put on a gi and you go.
Yeah, dude. And that's what I was like, no, man, I
don't see anything wrong with that.
I need somebody to
Aaron's like, dude, I don't know why I'm not getting students. Every time that somebody comes in here, I just tell him, throw on a gi. Yeah, you know, he gets beat up, but it's like, if you're gonna learn, like learn right now and come back.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not my fault you have two black eyes.
I only got two.
Should have got choked out.
Oh, I love it. But well, dude, what do you like, what's your big nugget of wisdom? I feel like you are just full of like little one-liners. Like if I go back, I could be like, I'm going to write down all these like Dustin quotes.
It's probably because like I just listen to people and I regurgitate it and then I'll forget about it. But it's like, man, I listen to stuff constantly and I'm like, I love that one. I love this one. But like, I don't really have any wisdom for people, man, besides like, dude, your life's worth more than where you're at right now. Yeah. And if you think you have a problem, you probably have a problem. If your life isn't going the way you want it to go, and this algorithm brought you here, man, give a few shows a listen. Yep. It's like going to an AA room and saying like, does anybody say my story? Does anybody kind of tell some of the stuff that I'm going through? And just kind of investigate it, man, a little bit, but don't do too much. Yep. Like be Aaron and make action. Be like, dude, something's going on. And then what would Aaron do? Go fix it. How you fix it,
go, dude? That's gonna be like a tagline on the WWAD.
No, we got to be emotionally smart like Mitch and know yourself.
I agree. I think it's a combination. And dude, obviously, the listener, you're in addiction because there's something off, right? Find somebody that loves you enough to tell you the truth, you know, and then listen.
The one side caveat I will say is, after getting sober, dude, I don't know if anybody else gets this, but I got the sweet tooth. I'd never been a chocolate sweet tooth guy. I swear to God, I thought I was going to be diabetic, dude. If you left a cake at my house, I'll eat the whole thing, dude. Yep.
You ever had
I've never been like that.
Me neither, bro.
I'll have cake, but like I would never want to eat the whole thing.
Same thing,
dude. That first year, you couldn't leave stuff around me. Dude,
my wife just bought a bag of chocolate covered. I don't know what they were. It was fucking amazing though. I ate the entire bag in 2 days. It was probably 3 pounds, dude.
Yeah, well, that's a real thing, dude. I was speaking with someone yesterday about this
because there's so much sugar and booze,
alcohol. Turn it off, no problem. I was done with it, but you know, she was telling me she has a hard time like binging shows, drinking, or not drinking, but like sugar and all this stuff. And dude, the hardest thing for me right now is sugar, dude. It's taken me 8 years to figure this out. I'm trying to lose 20 pounds for this race, and like I can't. It's so hard, dude.
Mine's Halloween candy, bro. I'll go through my kids' Halloween candy. But then if I buy like a bag of candy at the grocery store, it'll sit in my house for like a month.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll eat all my kids' Halloween candy in like 2 days.
Yeah, that dad tax is real motherfucker, ain't it?
Yeah, dude, for real.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I'm like. We always go out. I'm like, you guys need to up your candy per hour. This is bullshit. But the one thing I did want to say, you had just hit this. Now I can't remember.
I'll give you a compliment while that comes back to you. The one thing I think people should know about you is I don't know how much of the backstory we actually got from you. And I think that's a good thing in a sense, because it tells me where your mind is at. You know, like you killed that old Dustin and you're not living back there, dude. No. You know, I think there's a lot of struggle that comes with this because we keep thinking of what we did and the drama and all the guilt and all the things, dude. You seem to have just moved on so well.
I appreciate you saying that, man, because the reason why I was able to do that, and I'm not trying to harp on it, was going through the 12 steps in AA. I made my amends to all the people that I've wronged. I I went back and, you know, everything that was on my heart, on my mind, I got it off my chest, dude. And some people I didn't keep in my life and I didn't talk to, but I got it off of my chest and I moved on in life. And it's like, dude, that old Dustin is dead now, man. Like, unfortunately, the relationship, the marriage, you know, did not last, you know, through all that. And it's like, now the new Dustin is rising, dude. Like, you know, and it gets to be whatever I want it to be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's fucking huge, dude. That's amazing.
I
I'm proud of you
appreciate
for
that,
it,
man.
you know, because like we kind of been riding through this together with you a little bit, you know, from afar.
yeah.
You know, for context, you know, we were in the referral group together, and all of a sudden, you like y'all bailed. I'm like, that's strange. And then we come to find
This is
out
awkward.
you guys are going through your stuff, and now you're back, and it's like, yeah, you're just trying to turn the page, and now you're going to be freer because you're not letting that shit pull you back down, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and that's cool too, because I'll say this: in rehab, you learn about future tripping. You know, just you think too much about the future, and you create these anxieties and, you know, all these fears and stuff like that. And then you look at the past, and that's where all your guilt and your shame lies, right? Because as an alcoholic, you're going to look at all the things that you fucked up, you know, and I guarantee you're the only one looking at that stuff.
100%.
You know, all the people around you want is you, you know, and they just want you to come and be real and be honest and, you know, lay that stuff down. So, well, dude, I just thank you so much, Dustin, for your wisdom, your vulnerability, man. I really appreciate it. You're an incredible guy.
Well, man, I appreciate both of you guys, you know, doing this, you know, because I think that even if it just touches one person, dude, just changes one freaking person, that's why it's all worth it. And like what I will say to you guys is the sacrifice of time, the sacrifice in editing all the videos and coming in here to take care of it, and, you know, letting yourself be vulnerable, dude. Like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And I've told many people about you guys. I'm going to get you on, I'm going to post you on my Facebook. I just was waiting until I get my algorithm up a little bit more, because I haven't posted so long. There'll probably only be like 10 people watching me. So
It's all good, dude.
I'll get it up a little bit, and then I'll throw it on.
No, let us help you up that.
I know, right?
You know, use it to help your page.
But I'll throw it on my business page, man, and say, hey, man, give these guys a listen, tell you my story. But I mean, you know, I'm proud of you guys, man, for doing it, dude. It's a huge undertaking, and you're not making any money off of it, just so you guys know. So
yeah, we never will. It's not the money, the monetization from everything. It's all going right back in our 501c3, so we can help people get back to their feet. You know, this all started from, you know, a buddy that Mitch lost, and of his 5 last calls that he made that day were there rehab facilities that didn't take his insurance. Yeah. So we are here to raise money for that, to get that person.
That's what we forgot
that, man. Yeah,
that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, and that's what drove me down into the bottle like hard.
Yeah,
you know? And that's one day I woke up, and actually I think that episode's coming up. We interviewed his dad.
Well, you would have already seen it by now, but in the timeline of Real World, that's episode 6.
You can just cut that part out. But yeah, dude, I just want to say thanks again.
Thank you, man.
You know, we really appreciate it. And yeah, your support means the world. And honestly, what you just said kind of brings a little tear to my eye, because yeah, you know, this is definitely a passion project for Aaron and I. But it's, I think it's needed, man. I think there's a huge need for it.
You guys are being of service, and that's what'll keep you guys sober too, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
You're passing it along.
Yeah, exactly.
So when the hail comes, where do I go, or who do I call?
Black Belt Roofing. Blackbeltroof.com. Super easy to find me. Or business cell phone is 970-803-2500. And if you have a question about sobriety, you want to just text me on my personal, 720-384-5930. I don't care. I already get enough spam calls. So if you're a real person, that would be awesome. If you are a spam call, it is what it is.
Hopefully you're not an alcoholic. No, same here with us. You know, we have eventually when we start getting questions in, we'll start answering questions that you guys have on air. But if you guys want to send us questions that you want us to talk about, shattereddarkness5@gmail.com. I check that daily. And then if you do email us, you want us to answer a question, we'll communicate with you. We'll let you know when that question is going to be answered. That way you can listen, you don't miss it. But obviously please subscribe, everything you're seeing. And if you have any connections for us, please let us know. So we just thank you guys so much for your support, for listening to us. and stay sober. We appreciate it.
Yep. Last thing I'll throw in real quick. If you got any veterans that need some help too, go to stillwaterranch.org. Go check out what we do in Northern Colorado. It's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks again, Dustin.
Thank you.
Listener, we'll see you next time.
All right. God bless y'all.